FayeCoopsTV.
Have you ever wondered whether selfishness is something we're born with or a dark seed planted and nurtured over time? Almost like a curse passed down from parent to child, selfishness can be just a minor flaw, or it can turn deadly. When selfishness turns to a ruthless desire to win at any cost, to get what you want by any means, especially in the heat of a bitter divorce and a custody battle, it becomes dangerous, and in this case, it became fatal. Our story begins across continents with the man Anthony Hovanec carefully preparing a small but deadly package. He needs this package to look good on paper so it passes all postal controls until it reaches Ohio. Inside is a vial of M99, a powerful tranquilizer hidden among pieces of jewelry. He labels this package as a romantic gift for his girlfriend in the United States, Amanda Hovanec. Then many questions come to mind. Why would he do this? What does Amanda need such a potent drug? How did Anthony even get his hands on it? Well, M99 or endorphin is so powerful. It is only handled by professionals. It is what zoos use to sedate massive animals. Think about elephants or rhinos. We're talking about a drug that is 1,000 to 3,000 times stronger than morphine. Just one drop on your skin, fatal. Fatal within minutes. Who in their ever loving mind will need something this lethal shipped to them from another country? Someone who needs anonymity. Someone who needs to remove an obstacle in their way and still keep their hands clean. Just a few months after Amanda received this so called gift, Timothy Hovanec, a father of three, was dead, killed by a lethal dose of M99, injected by Amanda herself. Timothy had become a problem Amanda was no longer willing to deal with. Hey everyone, welcome to the first episode of the Bad Omens series, where together we dig into the dark emotions that lead to murder. I'm Faye Coops, and just like you, I'm a true fan of true crime. that was stupid, but actually, I'm a fan of true crime and the psychology behind it, especially the emotions brewing under the skin of the people committing these crimes. Those bad omens that can easily predict that things are not going to end well for the victims, and that leads to Amanda. Amanda is not your average selfish person here. We're talking about someone who sees others as nothing more than tools, stepping stones to get what she wants. And that's terrifying, right? Being so good at manipulation is one of the main traits of narcissists. And again, like everybody says in the video, I'm not saying that Amanda is an narcissist, but that indeed is a trait that she exhibits, and you will see. People like Amanda, they can easily get others to do the unthinkable. And Amanda did just that. Also, she could come out on top in a custody battle. Amanda didn't exactly grow up in the healthiest environment. Her mother, Anita Green, was described by their own family as having narcissistic tendencies just like Amanda. In fact, Amanda's sister was really hurt by the situation and even expressed to the media that both her mother and sister had a history of toxic behavior. And honestly, by the way these two women operated throughout this crime, you absolutely can see it. But Amanda wasn't just an echo of her mom's personality. She took things to a whole new level, to a diabolical one. She wanted control over everyone around her, and when she realized that her husband Timothy might be taking that control away from her by winning custody of their kids to stay with him over the summer, well, let's just say she wasn't about to sit back and let it happen. She wanted to strip Timothy of any say over their kids and, well, shoot over their future, really. In her demonic mind, Timothy was devalued as an obstacle, a problem that needed removing permanently. And like so many narcissists, Amanda wanted to win this war that was her own creation. Consequences be damned. So, to make this happen, she needed people she could mold to her will to do her dirty work. Here enters her boyfriend, Anthony, a man so in love with her that he do what she wanted, what she asked, even when it meant getting his hands on something as deadly as M99, a drug Amanda could not even bother to learn its name. For her, it was just the poison. At this point, let's rewind back to the moment Amanda meets Anthony. It's August 2019. Amanda's living in South Africa with Timothy and their children, the three girls, for his job with the U.S. State Department as a researcher. But they're already having problems, and she finds Timothy is not supplying her ego anymore. Amanda is losing her grip over Timothy, and things have become rocky between them. This can be dangerous for someone who craves attention and control. And then she meets Anthony, a charming, tall, confident, dark haired South African in a restaurant who quickly became her new supply for attention, telling her everything she wanted to hear. Within 3 months, by November, same year, their relationship was full on romantic. Now, some people might feel guilty about doing this, but not Amanda. She keeps the affair going strong even when the whole family returns back to the US. Amanda crafted stories of her supposed imprisonment in her loveless marriage, a miserable woman with three young girls desperate to escape. Amanda turned Anthony into an accomplice long before he even knew the depths of her plans. She managed to make Anthony see her husband as a villain, as an unfit father, and herself as the poor, loving mother in need of rescuing from this evil man who stood in their way of their happiness and the children's well being. With just a few words and happy future promises, she planted in Anthony's mind the idea of ridding them of Timothy for good. Amanda had Anthony looking for someone to kill her husband. 2020 comes in, Amanda and Timothy file for divorce, and she immediately starts denying. This made me angry. 2020 comes in, Amanda and Timothy filed for divorce, and she immediately starts denying visitation of their children, despite a court order permitting it. This battle continues for 2 entire years and gets heated when Timothy makes his final trip from Virginia to Ohio to have his day in court to fight to see his girls. But things didn't go exactly as planned. The hearing itself was delayed, but on April 22nd, 2022. This date is what made me actually select this case as my first episode because I was having the time of my life. I was getting married, but Timothy, his date was just 2 days before he will meet his tragic end. A judge handed down a surprising ruling. Timothy will be allowed to visitation with his daughters for the next 2 days, and even more. He'd been awarded custody of the kids for the entire summer from May 28th until August 5th. This was his victory, his chance to connect with his girls, be the father he longed to be. Can you imagine what that meant to him? This was a happy moment after years, months, waiting, fighting, and finally he was going to be with his girls, only for that chance to be stolen forever. Amanda's mother, Anita, had been her close confidante for all her life. You can imagine the rage Amanda must have felt knowing the court ruling and Anita was right there with her daughter when she was losing her grip on her daughters, when her authority was thwarted by the judge, just like that. I just can't imagine the words that came out of Amanda like, Mom, I can't keep fucking living like this. I can't let this monster take my kids from me. This mother effer is ruining my life. Anita already had villainized Timothy, who knows for how long ago, and she was invested in her daughter's drama. That's what narcissists love. They love chaos, they love punishment, they love revenge. Anita helped her daughter because Timothy deserved what was coming to him. He deserved to die. These two women shared this perverse entitled conviction, this misconstructed delusion, and it was enough for them to justify their actions. The girls spent 2 days with their father, having fun swimming in the best Western pool, enjoying all the amenities of the hotel he was staying at. It was time to return the girls to their mother. Timothy shows up at Amanda's place to drop off the girls, totally unaware that his last moments are right around the corner. The image released to the media minutes before the crime shows Amanda and her mother are waiting for them. The eerie fact is they were dressed similarly: white top, dark shorts. Anita is standing right at the entrance of the home, and Amanda is closer to the driveway. You can see that these women are holding something in their hands. In the case of Anita, when you zoom in, she's holding what may be a piece of cloth or maybe a phone. In Amanda's case, the camera fails to capture what she had in her hands, what she was holding in her hands at that moment. However, once Anita takes the girls out of the way, Amanda announces she had a surprise for them inside, is where things get brutal. Timothy barely has time to react before Amanda is on him, attacking from behind. She lunges, needle in hand, and jams it into his shoulder. In that split second, Timothy realizes what's happening. He fights back. She knocks his phone away, pulling him down. He tries to push her away, even yells, Did you just assault me? He fights back. Amanda wraps her arms around his neck, holding him down. Timothy yells again, "Get away from me! Get off of me!" But it's too late. The M99 is already in his body and he's fading fast. Amanda kept holding Timothy by the neck with him on top of her until he stopped moving. When she then got up from underneath him, picked up his phone, and removed the smartwatch he was wearing from his wrist before going to his still running vehicle to shut off the engine. Throughout all this, their daughters were inside the home, being distracted by Anita, unaware, unaware. This really affects me every time I narrate, every time I narrate this part, it really shocks me. All right, but throughout all this, their daughters were inside the home. Sorry. Throughout all this, their daughters were inside the home, being distracted by Anita, unaware their mother was ending the life of their father. That was the real surprise, one that nobody wants to have. Amanda calls for backup, her boyfriend, Anthony. Anita later comes over to help after talking in the girls. They're not even shocked of having to deal with a dead body. They knew what was coming. They've been prepped for it. Timothy's head was wrapped in a plastic bag to avoid the spill of his bodily fluids and his body loaded into Amanda's Honda Pilot. Anita drove them to point B and Anthony followed in his car. They headed out to a secluded property, a farmland that once belonged to Amanda's grandfather. There, Anthony had dug up a grave for Timothy in advance and let this fact sink in. These three mother effers were busy digging a hole to hide Timothy's body while he was spending his last happy moments with his girls. But back on track. Once they were done disposing of the body, they ditched Timothy's vehicle and didn't look back, thinking they were in the clear. But here's the thing about Amanda: she is so caught up in her own sense of control, her own belief that she's smarter than everyone else, that she misses something big. Timothy's dashcam recorded everything, every single thing: the ambush, the injection, the last words Timothy would ever say. It wasn't long before Timothy's absence raised suspicions. Items left behind in his room at the Best Western Inn alerted employees, who is so obvious, contacted authorities. Within days, the footage is found and Amanda gets arrested, along with Anita and Anthony, the AAA team, the AAA killer team. And then when authorities confront Anthony, the man cracks like an egg. He spills the beans in less than a minute and admits to everything, even leading them to where Timothy was buried. Could it be that he saw Amanda for what she really is, a conniving demon, or his remorse got the better of him, stabbing his conscience with the need to tell the truth? Who knows what made him change his mind? Anthony Theodoro admitted to his role, revealing the whole plan. After a year of failed attempts to find a hitman, Anthony finds himself more and more entangled in Amanda's plans to find someone else to do the dirty work. But no one's biting. He actually tapped into his connections. And in my opinion, this says a lot about the kind of people in shady business Anthony was entangled with. Regardless, he finds this acquaintance who still hasn't been named in all of this to track down not one, but two potential hitmen. But here's the thing, both attempts flopped, just like that. The acquaintance he probably saw how desperate Anthony was to help Amanda, steps up himself. He says, "Fine, I'll do it." And it's this person who suggests they use M99. Anthony goes for it. He somehow gets his hands on this little stuff and ships it to Amanda. She's the one who instructed him exactly how to hide it and mailed it straight to Ohio. Then Anthony made travel plans for himself and this acquaintance to do Amanda's bidding, you know? But at the last minute, the guy backed out and left them hanging. At this point, Amanda had no other choice to take the matter into her own hands, and things got into motion after the court order was in favor of Timothy. Amanda was furious. Anthony admitted in court that she actually says she'll kill him. Then, the very next day, Amanda and Anthony would go and buy gifts for the daughters, since to keep them busy and distracted while their mother injected M99 into their father to get rid of him, leaving these poor girls without parents, one dead and one behind bars in federal prison for 40 years, and also without grandmother because she will be in jail for 10 years, charged with accessory after the fact for the murder of their own father. What a beautiful, beautiful family is that, man. This story is wild. Let me tell you guys, this story is like a movie, but this is not fiction. It is real life. And it's not so freaking scary, If you take your time to think about demons like Amanda, Anita, and Timothy are living among us so close in the flesh. Not only was Amanda sentenced to 40 years, she's also on the hook for $2.1 million in restitution. She pleaded guilty to charges of conspiracy to import a controlled substance, importation of a controlled substance, conspiracy to possess with intent to distribute a controlled substance, and distribution of a controlled substance that resulted in death. And all those charges are in the federal court. She is fucked with the feds. The U.S. Attorney Rebecca Lotso for the Northern District of Ohio said in her statement in court, Hovanec's violent and intentional actions were cold-blooded, calculated, and cruel. Her extreme malevolence toward her husband and complete disregard for how his murder would affect their innocent children is incomprehensible and unforgivable. And she's right. Timothy's family will be forever haunted with the memory of telling these three girls their mother murdered their father. This is one of those things that's really hard to heal and move on as an adult. Imagine how hard it will be for these three girls. Amanda acknowledged at her sentencing hearing, no matter how I try to explain my actions, it comes down to me being selfish. After these words, I would say, I would take the liberty to say, this monster of a woman is wrong. Amanda tore her family apart, left her daughters fatherless and motherless for the obsession to win. Amanda Hovanec was consumed by her selfish need for power. Amanda Hovanec was consumed by her selfish need for power. That's the bad omen of the story. And that's a wrap on this episode. I'd love to hear what you think about this wild rabbit hole. Do you believe Anthony had a change of heart, out of guilt? Or was it just a calculated move to get a lighter sentence? Let me know in the comments below. My heart truly goes out to these girls, the real victims in this entire ordeal. I just hope this tragedy doesn't define their future. They do not deserve any of this. And I genuinely wish them healing, happiness, and the strength to move forward. So, if you like this episode, my first episode of the Bad Omens, you know the drill. You have seen in many other true crime shows. Give it a like, hit that subscribe button, and tap that notification bell so you don't miss the next episode. And don't forget to check out the other shows here on FayeCoopsTV. Until then, do no harm, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.